Goodness. Hey, Mike, how you doing, buddy? Sergeant Grass, Cleveland. Hi, how you doing? Thanks for popping in, guys. Appreciate it. We got a pretty chill one tonight. Shouldn't be making a whole lot of noise. We're just going to finish up this step stool. So I'm going to run a palm router, and we might run a table saw just to cut the stretcher. But I still didn't find my chisels, so we'll get creative on attaching that. How's everybody doing today? It's a little chilly here. About 6 inches of snow out there. Good deal, Grass. Good, or a Vike. Good deal. Surviving, you guess. I mean, the tools in the big shop are all gone. They're all the big stuff is gone. Insurance cleared it all out. Cast iron beds, water, didn't work out well. The other shop is no longer being worked in. So everything I do now, I'm going to do out of here until the new shop's built. I just had to change up what I do because obviously this isn't equipped to do a whole bunch. Like I mean, I could do stuff like tables and whatnot in here, but that'd be about all I could do in here. Oh, goodness. I don't know what kind of wood we're going to use as a stretcher. I don't know if we're going to use a piece of cherry or a piece of maple. Piece of black walnut. Really rather not use black walnut, but it is what it is. Roast cherry. Yeah, I think cherry will go good with it. And I have some pieces cut over here. They were extras from cutting boards. Yeah, we could do that. Why not? Let's see. Apple. Hang on, it's taking me a second to type this. Cherry, maple, black walnut. That's probably good enough. There we go. I got the paperwork. I just haven't opened it yet. I've had it for quite a while. Hey, Redneck, how you doing, buddy? Appreciate you popping in. So, Redneck, we're gonna finish this cherry stool here that that we started last week. We'll get started here in a minute. Ooh, 50-50 cherry black walnut. Oops. Hey, Matthew, what's going on, buddy? Thanks for coming. Oh, goodness. I forgot to make a shop fridge run. So I'm dipping into the stuff that's there for emergencies, like this PBR. I appreciate that, Grass. Thank you. So something that I did off camera. I was going to do this without being on camera. But I thought it might be interesting to show everybody. So these pieces of black walnut, they're just some little scraps that I had. And they're two-sided tape to the board on the V's that we had cut with jigsaw. So what we're going to do is, I have a bit with a bearing on it. We're gonna run that bearing along the black walnut. I clean this V up, make it nice and purty. And I did that on both pieces. I put the two-sided sticky tape them on so that I can get rid of all this cherry here that shows and make a nice, hopefully, clean cut. Hopefully there's no tear out. Hopefully the tape doesn't come off, because that would be embarrassing. But it is really cold in here, and I don't think I've ever used this two-sided tape in the cold, but it seems to be holding pretty well. In worst case, I'll clamp it upside down. Actually, that's probably how I'm going to clamp it anyway. It's upside down onto the table so that it pinches that pattern, and I'll route it from the top because my bearing is on the top of the bit. So I don't know how to make this go away without clearing it. I don't want to end it. Oh, there we go. Alright. So, I guess we might as well get started, eh? Probably unplug my phone. Again, I appreciate you guys all popping in. We'll, how to store your knives. Matthew, that display case, how many knives do you want to put in it? I need a battery. 25. All right. We can probably work with that. You get 3 a month. Do you have some sort of like a... Are you a member of some sort of a collection? Or? Alright. So here's the bit that I was telling you about. So there's this bearing up here. That'll ride on the pattern and it'll cut right to that pattern edge. Because these... I don't know if you can see it. That bearing rides right up to the edge of the cut on the... Hi, Antix. How you doing? It rides right up. It's flush with the cutting edge of the bit. Knife a month club. Nice. All right, Matthew. I appreciate that. That's a really nice looking knife. I'm thinking that I may want to put some sort of a sealer on it. Alright, so all I did was I adjusted the depth so that the blade, or the bearing rather, probably help if I turn this around. So that bearing will sit on the pattern and blade will tear up everything else. So the bearing will sit here, it'll roll nice and free. And we'll see. We'll see what happens. This can go one of two ways. Either I can either catch the grain and tear out. Sound is cut out. All right. Either you can catch the grain and tear it out, and in something like this, that's particularly possible because the grain on this board runs this way, and I will be cutting across all of the grain, the entire way. But if you have a small enough amount of waste, which would be this bit sticking out here, you can minimize that. But you have to clamp your workpiece down. So I'm gonna get that started, and then I'll readjust the camera. I'll get the pieces clamped. Make sure my bearing is good for. This actually needs to be just a little bit higher. Alright, that'll ride there good. Make sure we didn't run off the wood on this one. Nope, we're right on there, good. Then I think next week what we're going to do is I owe Matthew a display case for some knives. And it should be a pretty simple build. Matthew, they're here. Hey, Mr. Dave, how you doing, buddy? As the channel grows and more people are watching, we'll add more mods if necessary. So what I want to do is I want to clamp these down and get this done, and then I think next week we're going to build Matthew a display case so that he can Put some knives in it. Yeah. I don't think Cleveland ever leaves. I think he just gets quiet so people don't know he's here. Alright, so I'm clamping this down. I want to be far enough away from my router that I'm not going to hit it and it won't be in my way, but I want to be close enough that it's actually effective at clamping the piece down. And I don't particularly want to damage the wood. I don't want to put a big clamp mark on it. If you squeeze too hard, these little things, they'll just dig into the wood. They'll crush the fibers. So we want to avoid that. You can put down a piece of like sacrificial wood to act as a block, but I don't think we really need it on this. Worst case, I'll run the sander over it a little bit and clean it up. Alright, that seems pretty good. That one needs to be readjusted. Yes, I do, redneck. Yes, I do. Alright. I don't think they're going to go anywhere. So let's see if we can't readjust this camera so you can see what I'm doing. 31 people in here. I appreciate you all for popping in. Let's see if that will be... Alright, so this router isn't terribly loud, so I hope you guys don't... if you guys have headphones in, just beware. It's going to make some noise. Alright, let's do some cutting here. I don't know if you saw that little jump there, but I went the wrong way. So I went the direction the blade was spinning on the very start here. Trying to stop it from jumping, but I bit a little too deep. That way I could cut those end fibers so I didn't have tear out on the comeback. At least that's the idea. And I didn't get any tear out, so we're good there. Alright, that one's done. Switch over to the other one here. No, Grass, that doesn't matter on this because I'm referencing the base plate on the router here. So this is flat to this, which means that that blade, or that bit, is going to be at 90 degrees to this plate. Alright, let's do this one. Oh, my battery dead. Alright, let's try this again. We'll get this one put back on the charger. Alright, we'll show you what this looks like. Well, I guess you guys could probably just hang out right there. We are still going to do roundovers on everything, so we'll have the router out again. But there was a little dip in that piece of walnut that I didn't see, and that transferred to my pattern. See that there? I'll have to take care of that, but ignore this, we'll round that out. That's tear out from the jigsaw. So you can see I got a nice smooth cut. A little bummed out about that dip in there that I didn't notice. The other side's smooth, I should have flipped it over. That's alright, we'll deal with that. That'll be fine. That's what I get for grabbing wood out of the scrap pile, I guess. So this one, nice, pretty edges, no tear out. So we did good there. We got no tear out on this one. We did get a little bit of a burn right here, but that shouldn't be an issue. And that little dip. So it looks like I'll but you know what I can do? We can take care of that little dip right now. We'll just flip this piece over a little bit. There we go. We'll run the router across it again. Clamp this piece down. That should hold it. Yep. Got the battery back. There we go. Well, we don't have to run the sandpaper over it all crazy. Much better. Alright. This back on the charger. All my batteries are dead. And I completely didn't even realize. Hi Janelle, how you doing? Thank you for coming in. Appreciate that. Alright. Yeah, so I have this really bad habit of when I swap out batteries, I just put them on the table and forget about them. And then I went to grab batteries and they're all dead. There we go. See, we got rid of that dip there. It's no longer an issue. Ignore that little tear out. Like I said, we're going to be dressing this edge, so we won't have that. That won't be visible anymore. And we didn't really get any tear outs, so we did really well on this. Now that bit's a spiral bit. So what that means is it doesn't have straight cutting blades. Um, yeah. I try not to wear my hoodie in here, but this is the shop hoodie. Is the pockets filled with sawdust. Um, but I try not to wear it because the elastic's all worn. It's really comfortable. I love it. But I try to not wear it because the sleeves don't stay up, and then I got a droopy sleeve in front of me. But it is cold in here, and my business hoodie, or the hoodie with the logo on it over there, shrank in the wash, and it is no longer making me happy. So, all right. So, what this means with this spiral bit here, so there's upcut and downcut, and what that means is it's either going to cut towards the face of the plate, or it's going to cut away from it towards your pattern, right? So this one spins this way, right? So it's cutting up, which would make it an upcut or downcut, depending. I don't really know how that nonsense works. I just know that when I have it on here and I'm facing it, well, if I'm facing it down, it's going to cut. It's going to be a down cut, and it's going to push against my pattern, which helps eliminate. You don't have any tear out up top because it's pushing those fibers down, and you don't really get any tear out on the bottom edge because you have your pattern there. So it can't push the fibers away because they're held up by the pattern. And so those they provide a cleaner cut than like a dual blade. I have some other ones that have flat, straight blades on them. They don't provide as clean of a cut, but they do have their purpose. I just like the spiral cut better. It does make a lot easier, or a lot cleaner cut, rather. So let's pop these off. See if we can get this tape off of here without. We'll have to hit it with a little bit of sandpaper, but that's not a big deal. Just to get rid of. I grabbed a hold of some fibers there. We just want to hit it with a little bit of sandpaper, get rid of all that goop that left behind, because we don't want our finish to go on top of that. If there is any imperfections in your wood, any saw blade marks or dings or scratches or anything, if you don't address them before you finish, oh goodness, then the finish will highlight them, and we definitely don't want that. Alright. Thank you, Janelle. I appreciate that. Now this, I have two types of double-sided tape, and they both work for different things. One has this kind of like thin kind of foam paper stuff, right? But it's got a lot more sticky stuff on the edges, on the sides, which helps it form for things that aren't quite flat all the way. There might be a little bit of a rough pattern there. And then I have another kind that has just this thin strip of clear plastic with a little bit of sticky stuff on each side. And if you have, little imperfections in your two surfaces, then you're losing a ton of contact area. So this stuff works really good. But you can get it on Amazon or whatever. It's not the automotive stuff where it's like that real. You go to Walmart, you buy that double-sided like Scotch tape or whatever, where it's real thick foam. that's a whole different thing, and I don't think it's strong enough for stuff like this, because that foam likes to rip. So I wouldn't use it. I like my fingers a little too much. Yeah, Janelle, I don't know what happened, but we got a whole bunch of people in here today. So thanks, guys, for everybody that's in here that hasn't been in here before, or even if you have. I greatly appreciate you popping in. It means a lot. I'm now caught up with my Christmas stuff. All that's done. So we'll start getting back into actually producing real content. So hopefully you guys hang out for that. I mean, not today, but we're going to go into a regular, system of creating content. Yeah, so we don't have much of anything going on here for tear out wise. Like nothing up here by where the pattern was, nothing here where the router side was. So we did really good. That worked out really well. There's no tear out on the face, like of the face of the cut. So we lucked out. All right, so I do have these four little tape marks that I want to get rid of real fast. So bear with me while I run the sander for just a minute. I just need to clean those up a little bit, and we will get to assembly. And then once we have it assembled, we will make, we'll see what the poll says for what kind of stretcher we want. And we'll make that real quick and get it put in. Now the stretcher, if anybody's curious, the stretcher is the piece that will go between the two legs. So it'll be probably about here where my fingers are, and go from side to side to help give it a little bit of stability so that it's not just a little box, or half a box, or 3/4 of a box. And then once we have assembly started, should have that battery fully charged by then, and we can run our edging. All right, so give me just 1 second. I apologize for the sanding, guys. Just want to get rid of this before the finish. And it helps to get rid of the fuzzies from the cut. There we go. That should take care of that. Now, we didn't sand enough. When we go to apply our finish, everybody will definitely be able to tell. So what we're going to do is, just in case, we're going to make sure those are our inside faces so they're not visible from the outside so much. So we're going to put a little mark on here. Not on the wood, we're going to put a mark up here on our tongue. So we're going to say I. I. Make sure I wrote that on the right side. Yep. Okay. All right. So, Snag, what's going on, buddy? Mr. Dave, I'm so glad that you won that jewelry box. I hope your wife really appreciates it. For anybody who doesn't know, Snag was the one who won that. Not Snag, I'm sorry. Dave, Mr. Dave, was the one who won that jewelry box that we made a couple streams ago. He won that on the Turner Fishing 25 days or 20 days or Christmas. So that was really cool. All right, so remember, I was the side that potentially has a little bit of tape residue on it. We want that to be on the inside, right? Just doing a little dry fit here just to make sure nothing changed before we put glue on and get everything pressed into place. That, if I could keep that from falling out, it's got a nice fit. That will be it. So the stretcher will go down here across. And I see that there are 17 votes for that. So once we get these glued in and clamped, so we can start putting the screws in, which we'll cap with dowel rods, then we'll check that, and we'll get the stretcher cut, and we'll get that put in. All right, let's need some wood glue. And gonna need some clamps. I want to put clamps in just to hold it for now. See if these are going to be long enough. Oh man. Ugh. Will that be long enough? Yeah. All right. Okay. A bunch of my clamps are in use already inside. I have them in the house so things could cure without having to keep the heat on out here. Million TV, you do woodworking too? That's awesome. Do you, I can't check your channel right now, but do you post videos and stuff or pictures? I love checking out other people's stuff. There's a lot of really talented people out there. And if you don't post things, then on the top of my page is my email address, and I definitely encourage everybody to go ahead and send me pictures of stuff you make. I'll post it on the community tab. You know, little things that, you know, I'll give you guys the proper credit, obviously. You'll have to put down your YouTube name in your picture that you send. But I'll post it on the community tab so people can check it out if you want. Definitely all about helping out other woodworkers and showcasing their efforts. I think it's a good thing. All right. So, got a paper towel, I got a little glue spreader. All right, let's do some glue up. See if we can't get you guys. I know this isn't the most glamorous part of it, but give you guys should be able to see everything there. All right, so we'll get these glued and clamped, and then we will get our measurements for the stretcher. We'll get that cut. We'll give the glue a little time to set. We are going to be punching some screws in through the top, but we're going to sink them a little bit so we can fill them with some dowel rod, with a nice contrasting white dowel rod. Purnell, what's going on, buddy? Thanks for coming in. I appreciate it. So I want to have as little squeeze out as possible, particularly to the inside. The edges don't really matter, because I can just run the sander across it and clean that up and take care of that. Logan, buddy, thanks for coming in. I appreciate you. How you doing today? So I'm just spreading some glue around here. We may have to put more in, because we're all open grain here. And open grain really absorbs that glue. We want a nice... Well, we're going to use screws to help clamp and help provide some rigidity. The glue is going to be really the structural component. Probably help if I open that. So I want to get a good bit up on the edge grain, or the end grain, I'm sorry, up on both sides. Smear this out good. Make sure we got good coverage everywhere. Take what's left on our brush here and just kind of rub it down the side. Just to get a little bit to soak in there. You don't want to put too much because this is a tight fit and it will squeeze or push out. So we just want a little bit there, just to kind of pre-wet it. We don't want it to get all crazy. Just kind of want it a little wet. This glue in here is going to be the majority of it. Thanks, Pernell. I appreciate that. So I see there's a lot of people in here. Don't usually have this many. I'm a new channel. I have a woodworking business with the same name. And I decided, with some help with some encouragement from some friends, that I needed to start a YouTube channel. And what I decided was there are a lot of woodworkers out there that have really nice and elaborate shops. And that is awesome. They do amazing work in those shops. But I wanted to do something different. And I wanted to do a kind of anybody can do it channel, right? So I decided that my shop, for the purposes of this channel, is going to be my garage. My one-car garage that I'm slowly finishing out. You can see I got drywall up here, whatnot. And we're not going crazy. We're using affordable tools that are easy to come by. Just want to drive this down a little bit. Broke that. Just use the end grain there. Apologize for the banging, guys. Alright. Let's grab our paper towel. Let's clean up this glue squeeze out on the ends. And we're going to use the clamps to kind of encourage us to go the rest of the way. That way it's not tipping back and forth on me. Let's see if we can't get that to squeeze in. I should probably put something on there so we don't have any clamp accidents. Back to the channel here. I think there's a lot of people out there who have, you know, channels for their garage or their shed or whatever. But for some reason, the ones that I see don't tend to have that many viewers, I guess is the word, at least to start out. I don't know why. Maybe because they don't have the fancy tools, but I think they have a good message, which is you can do really nice things without having really expensive tools. I got a lot of squeeze out coming out of this side here. And you can run a successful business if that's what you're wanting to do. Now, I did have a much larger shop, but we got a bunch of snow, and now I no longer have that larger shop, at least for the winter. In the spring, we'll take care of that. All right, that looks like she's down good. She's not terribly out, so I think we can just clean that up with the sander and that'll be fine. We can try to squeeze it in with a clamp, but I don't think it's going to do anything. Let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens. It's less than a 32nd of an inch, so I don't know. Yeah, it's not doing it. It is what it is. XY, thanks for coming. I appreciate you popping in. Snag, we're making the... we're finishing up the cherry step stool that we started last week. We're going to have to put this one kind of at an angle here. That's going to be really annoying for you guys, but... Dade, what's going on? Thanks for coming in, buddy. I appreciate you. Ugh. Whoop. I don't want that. Let's try to get this thing pulled over here. All right. So, we're going to glue this side up. Get this one clamped down. We'll get our rough measurements for our stretcher. And we'll see what that pole has to say and what kind of wood we're going to use for it. We're going to let the glue sort of settle for a minute before we do our screws on the other side. But we don't want it to be fully dried, obviously, because we may need to open them up a little bit or close them a little bit to make them square. I don't think we will, but there's always the possibility. Alright, so we'll let this soak in a little bit. We're going to pre-wet a little tongue here. Like I said, we don't want to put a lot on there. We just want it to be a little wet. It both it both helps to get the process started on these pieces. Gives me a place to go with some of the excess glue in here. And it's wet, so it acts sort of like a lubricant to help get it together. And helps ensure that we don't have any spots that aren't going to be glued. Alright, that's all we need. We'll go through here, we'll make sure we got glue up on all the edges. That's pretty good. Pull some of this glue up on this side. This is just a little silicone brush you can buy, I don't know, at the hardware store. The wood glue doesn't stick to it. So there's our eye. We want that on the inside. We want to have that about flush. We don't want it to be crazy. Those are probably a little too tight. They probably should be a little looser, but it's fine. They're in and we don't have to worry about them. We know they're not coming apart, that's for sure. So we're going to get this one clamped. No, Dade, it's not for Luca. I'm going to build him a ladder. I make some quilt ladders. They're like little ladder looking things that you can put quilts on for like display purposes or whatever. I have one in my house. It's really nice. I figured that all you have to do is make it a little skinnier and it'll probably work as a ladder for Lucifer. Alright, got a tiny bit of squeeze out right here. I'm going to get that cleaned up. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, he needs those extra steps. We don't want him getting stuck outside of his. Alright, we'll clean this up. So we got this one looking really nice. Alright. Let's see if we can't stand that up. Clean up the glue that came over the top. So we are going to have to run over this wet glue, well, the dried area. Everywhere that there was glue out or squeeze out and glue running, we're gonna have to sand that. It won't take much. We'll hit it with some 220, and it'll be real easy. We'll just clean it all up. Outside of his playhouse. It sits a little crooked right now because I got thicker wood on this side than I do on this side for the little shims, but there's where we're at. Now, what we can do is we can take a quick measurement, make sure that we're square. So we are a light 11 inches, and we are a heavy 11 inches. So we will need to put a clamp on here and pull them in a little bit once we put our stretcher in. We want the bottom to match the top. So we will go from the outside of the tape measure here, we will be at, oh boy, we'll be at a light 11 inches. A very light 11 inches. So, get my stuff cleaned up, and let's find out what kind of wood we're going to use for the stretcher. Yeah, Grass. It was just personal preference and ease of use or ease of making for purposes of the live stream. We went with a very boxy style. That's one of the reasons why we have to put a stretcher in here, is because there's no support in here and it will rack. Eventually things will work loose and it will rack. All right, let's see what the poll says. Looks like we are doing black walnut. All right. All right, black walnut it is. Y'all are going to have to deal with the table saw, though. Thanks, Turner. Also, how you doing, buddy? So before we put the stretcher in, we will round over the edges on that, and then we'll put that in. But before we do that, we'll get it in and we'll clamp it. That way it's not going to go anywhere. And we will put we'll put at least one screw in the center of each leg. And then we want to do equidistant screws from there so that everything's symmetrical. Yeah, that was really exciting. I don't think it's ever been up that high. But because we're going to have contrasting wood plugs up here, we want them to be symmetrical. We don't want them all crazy, because you will definitely notice. And we don't want to draw attention away from I like wood grain. I'm sure all of you guys know that. I like the way the wood looks. That, above all, is what I enjoy. So, I don't like to distract from that. So, we're going to try to do our best not to. And think we're going to use white, which is just poplar. For our plugs. Because once we oil this, if any of you guys have looked at my community page, you saw the difference between cherry or the cutting boards be oiled and not oiled. So we're going to put finish on here, and then we're going to wax it with a hard wax. So it should deepen the color a bit, which will definitely make the white stand out. And then over time, what cherry does is it UV reacts. Yes, it is, Grass. Yes, it is. Cherry will UV react, and the more UV it's subject to, the darker it will. Yeah, I don't have any walnut dowels, though, unfortunately. Which is a bummer. I used up all my walnut. That is a bummer. I could wait to fill it. I could wait to fill them until I get some more dowels. I used to have a dowel maker jig. There's like a little box with different holes in it and a blade. You put a piece of wood and a drill and run it through to make a nice dowel. Unfortunately, I don't know where it is. As soon as I started cleaning stuff up, everything got lost. But I could wait. I could order some dowels. Actually, I think I have some on order. I'm not sure. I might have some on order. We'll see. But yes, that is a good point, is to match the accents. Oh. So I just happen to have this piece here that's already cut of black walnut. I have some 8/4 black walnut over there that I could run through the table saw and cut a wider block out of if need be, but I think that'll work nice. You'll still have to deal with the table saw. Purple pop. Oh yeah. You know what? I think still have some. Actually, I've got 3 pieces left from that bundle. And this one is particularly purple. I don't know if you guys can see it. Here it's particularly purple. That's not a bad idea. I think we're going to go with that. We won't use the white. We'll use the purple popper. Okay, so we're going to cut this on the table saw with the sled so that I make sure I have nice 90-degree angles. And then we're going to rip off this rough edge here. We're just going to skim it because we're going to use this thickness. That should be plenty. We'll get it clamped in place. We'll get our measurements so that we know where we can put 2 screws in on each end. And we're going to have the center of each leg be center of our dowel, or of our strut here. Lucifer, what's going on, buddy? Thanks for coming in. All right, so well, that was unfortunate. Let's make it complicated. Yeah. All right. So, we need a light 11. So we're going to get that going right now. And once we cut this stretcher, that should be the only thing that we have to cut. Everything else should be quiet, with the exception of running the router to do all the edging and stuff. But all right, we got plenty of room. Here we make a nice straight cut. Oh, probably helped. I plugged everything in. There we go. From here, we make a nice straight cut. All right, gonna make some noise right now. Headphone people, beware. perfect. That's a perfect straight edge. Awesome. Okay, so same tape measure that we used to measure before. We just want tape measure to be flat there. We want a very light 11. I'm going to cut this to 11, and then I'm going to trim it down. So since this is the piece that I want, I need to make sure that's on this side of the blade. You cut to this side, then you lose 1/8 of an inch. We've been there and done that. So okay, that should give me a little bit of extra. Flat side against the fence, guys. Flat side against the fence. Okay. All right. That. So I'm just lining this up here with the edge of this slot in my saw, or in my sled, because that is where the blade is. So I want it to be just a little bigger, so if there is any wobble in the blade, I can sneak up on that cut. Now normally I would do this with a oh, that is perfect. That is perfect. All right, we're done with that. So now all we're going to do is we're going to rip off this, see that rough edge? We're going to rip that off. Alan, what's going on, buddy? Thanks for coming. Silly Wabbit, I appreciate you coming in. Thank you very much. All right, so we're going to rip this edge off just to straighten that up. So we just want to take a little bit off. We don't need to go crazy. Just want it to be clean. So we're just going to skim. We're not going to do this on the sled. We're going to do this with the fence. It's the safer way to do it. The more intelligent way. Alright. So we just want to bump it over a little bit. Grab our push stick. So now we're going to round this off with the router. I appreciate it. Thanks, Lucifer. We're going to round this off with a router because we won't be able to do it when it's in the bench. Okay, so, or the stool. So I'm going to get this thing put away because we're done with it. We shouldn't need it at all anymore unless we royally screw up. That is not the piece we want. Alright, we want this. See if we can't get you, I don't know, over here maybe? Yeah, it's really convenient how that stows away. Luke, I appreciate you you hopping on Shade's account. So, also let her know I said hi, and thanks for the like that she didn't know about. So you can see down here, no grip. Up there, nice fit. So. Now, what we need to do is we need to measure that, get the center of this, get the center of the leg, which I believe they are 9.5 inches. All right, so this piece of wood is 7/8, so we're going to go 7/16. Yeah, we'll go about 7/16. Yeah. All right. Grab a pencil. There's a little trick you can do. I don't know if there's. You guys probably know this if any of you do any woodworking at all. So dividing fractions of an inch can be tough, right? But it's easier if you take something that's easily divisible in half. Like in this case, we're going to use 1 inch, and you put it line, inch mark to inch mark, and now that 1/2 inch line is in the center. That's the center of your piece. Now, if you have something that's 3 inches, 3 inches would be the next closest mark. 1.5 inches would be the center, obviously. And you can keep going up from there. So let's get you switched back over here. I'm going to mark these in the center. I suppose it's better than eating all the pie, Lucifer. All right. So there's our halfway mark. All right, now to make life easy on me, we're going to mark the other side. We're not going to put it in yet. We want to do our round over first, but I want to get everything marked out before I start playing with the edges. That way, we know everything is square and all of our marks are accurate. Unless you break your tools, and then they're no longer accurate. There we go. Just drawing a line on here so that I can roll it over to the end, so I can put a tiny little mark that I can then line up with a mark that I'm going to put on the inside of these legs. That way I know where halfway is, and we don't miss this when we're drilling our holes through the sides. So I put a little tick on both ends, or both top and bottom of the sides, because it's going to go in this way. That way I can put two little marks inside here and make sure this isn't twisted. We want that to be vertical. There's other ways you can do it, but that's the simplest way. Alright, now let's get this laid down so we can measure these. Oh. Yep. Alright, so if we go 10 inches, I broke my lid. If we go to 10 inches, we want to put light marks on here. Okay, we just want one tiny little mark. That is going to be for us to reference from the outside with the drill. Okay. Go to 10. Put one tiny tick mark here. Now we come down from the top. Let's say we want, how thick is this? This is 2 3/8 tall. So you guys can't see a damn thing. How's that? This might be better for you. Right. So it's 2 3/8 tall. So let's put it from the top there to the peak of the V is about 8 inches. So let's go. We'll put the bottom edge at the 6-inch mark. And we'll put it at the 6.5-inch mark. Why not? So, balance that on there. Put a little tick mark. 6.5. So we will be at, well, 4 inches and 6 3/8. Close enough. All right, let's carry that over to the inside. We're going to be at 4 inches and 6 3/8. This one, we're going to go vertical line so that way we can see it. And then a vertical line so we can see it. Make sure we'll make this one a little bit longer. There we go. We'll be able to see both of those. So back to this side, 4 inches, 6 3/8. That is the area that we're going to be able to drill into. Because I'm marking it. So I marked center. I marked the upper and lower limit of the stretcher. And then from there we can measure down and up so that we can sink 2 screws into each end. Here, 6 3/8. We're going to put a vertical line so we can see it. And a vertical line so we can see it. Double check our center. Okay. That is center. We'll put a mark on our tape measure. Center is right here. I was off just enough that it would twisted this side. You don't want that. All right, let's flip this over one more time. Double check our center marks. That one's off just a little bit. That one's off just a little bit. All right, so there's that. We got our marks on here. This will just go in here. Line up mark to mark. We'll put a little bit of pressure on the clamp, so with the clamp, so that way this doesn't come apart. And what we're going to do first is we're going to add a little glue to it. Oh, no. Almost forgot the round over, guys. Goodness. Let me forget things. Alright, we don't need any of this stuff anymore. We do, however, need the palm router. We're going to go with an 1/8 inch round over bit. It's just this little bitty. Let's see if I can get it on the fridge. Just this little bitty round over. It just softens the corner. STL, thanks, buddy. Appreciate you popping in. Alright, so we want to run this up so that it is just flush. We'll take a piece of scrap wood. So a round over bit, for anybody that doesn't know, they typically have this flat edge here, which will also cut. So it's rounded up top, and then you can see this straight side on both sides. That is also a knife. So you can set the round over down a little bit and create a nice little profiled squared edge, or you can go up so that that corner doesn't actually dig into the wood and get just a round over. And I think on this, we want just a round over. So we are going to use a piece of scrap wood, and we're going to test it. While I'm using that battery, we're going to throw another battery on the charger. Alright, so what we're going to do here . So, here's where we're at. I don't know if you guys can see that. That's our test round. Right. See how it goes from square to rounded, back to square, and we don't have any harsh edges, which is what we want. Now, we are going to put a little clamp on this battery. I don't want to dig out the router table. So we're going to put a little clamp on this battery so that way we can use that clamp as kind of a stabilizer. See what I mean? So it's here. Now it makes it a little harder for it to like fall over. Because we're going to use this as a router table. Typically I would turn it sideways and just clamp it to the bench. But I'm going to put this router bit away. Alright. It's our piece of wood. It's our piece of wood. Let's get this one cut. So here our router bit spins this way. Okay, so we got to keep that in mind. Every router usually has an arrow that tells you the direction of cut, or the direction you're supposed to go for cut. This one does not, for some reason. Don't want to round over this edge, so I'm trying to be very careful about ending it right at the edge. 2 of ours done. Sorry guys, I got sawdust in my eyeball. Give me 1 second. I watched it shoot up, hit the inside of my glasses, and right into my eyeball. There we go. Alright, we'll get the other done, and we can get this one clamped in place and start our screws. There we go. Put that on the fridge there so you can see. There's our round over. Nothing crazy. We just wanted a little bit to break the edge. Sharp edges will damage quickly. When they damage, they tend to splinter. Pieces chunk off. Rounded over edges, just a little bit of breaking that edge will stop that from happening. Or at least make it really difficult to do it. All right. Logan, that's awesome, buddy. We'll see you later, Purnell. We'll see you tonight on Turner's stream. Thanks for coming in, bud. You're probably long gone by now, but... Oh, Justin, how you doing, bud? I'm sorry I missed you. Popping in here. Lucifer, I'm gonna adapt one of my quilt racks, my quilt ladders. I'm not gonna make it so wide. I usually make them quite wide. I'm gonna narrow them down a little bit, and I think they'll be a perfect ladder for you. We'll make them about 5 feet tall. All right. Do our test fit here. Everything's golden. I can see both sides of the lines. You can see both sides of those lines. So what we're going to do, we're going to play with a little bit of glue. Now we're only using the glue. We don't want to put too much on because we definitely don't want it to smear. We don't want it to squeeze out. But we want some on there because glue is really good. Wood glue is really good at holding wood together. I know it might seem a little weird, but you'd be amazed. So, since we're gluing end grain to face grain, we want to smear this on here a little bit, let it kind of soak in. We're going to put another layer on it. So wood is essentially a whole bunch of little straws just bundled together. The straws run the direction of the grain. So end grain, you cut all those straws open. So anything you put up on the end will wick down in. And if it wicks all the wood glue in, then you don't have any real glue surface going on, no real bond. So what you can do to try to alleviate some of that is put glue on it, allow it to start to soak in like this side already has, and then in a few minutes you'll put another little bit on. That way there's glue in the fibers and it's not pulled all of the glue out of the joint. And then you actually have a decent glue joint. Now, end grain is not the best glue joint, which is definitely why we're strengthening it with a screw. But it's better than nothing. Alright. So once we get this clamped in and all the screws done, we'll do all of our round over on everything. Like I said before, I like when the round over continues on things instead of stopping and starting. I mean, it's nice to see, round over to round over, kind of like crown molding, where they just run together and it looks like a nice sharp angle. I like it to curl, to go around that angle. I think it looks nice. Not all people like that, so in this case, I'm building it, so I like it, and that's what I'm going to do. Alright. So we got some glue on here. We want to be careful getting this in here because we don't want to smear glue all over the place. Like that. Push that down. That lined up. So if we push it down, it kind of sticks. It doesn't slip around as much. Well, if that isn't something. There we go. We're going to take this. We're going to put this over here. We just want to squeeze it together. So that we can still move it. We will have to hit this with a little bit of sandpaper because I did smear it like I didn't want to. Yeah. Alright. Back this down. Get another one on this side. I know this is a lot of clamps for doing something super simple, but the more even the pressure, the less likely I am to make a mistake. And I've got clamps, so why not use them? Okay. So we're going to clean up some of this glue. That's squeezed out. I will hand sand it. Get in here to remove any glue out of the fibers. So wood glue soaks into wood. It'll fill the pores. So if you put any finish on it, the wood glue will stick out like a sore thumb because those pores are already plugged. You can't, nothing else will get in there because they're sealed off. Upstate, what's going on, buddy? Thanks for coming in, appreciate it. Grass, I would, but I haven't drilled out the dimples yet on the ends. Usually I drill those out so that way I can pull the clamps apart. All right. So we're lined up. Lined up. So what we're going to do is we're going to put 2 screws in on this side. We're gonna drill a hole first, a pilot hole, put a screw in there, then we're gonna drill the second one, put a screw in there. That way there's nothing can happen. It can't twist really with a screw already in there. And then once we get those off, we can take all of the clamps off, or at least stand it up on these other 2 clamps, because we won't need these anymore. They're just here to hold everything together and keep this end the same distance as this end, because this piece is cut to fit up here. So we squeezed it all down to that. All right. So let me grab a bit, grab a couple of screws. You don't need anything crazy. Find my bit around here somewhere. All right. So we want these to be equally spaced. So we know where our top and bottom is. Yeah, whatever. So how about we come in a 1/2 inch from each end. You know what? Let's come in 3/4 of an inch from each end. No, I don't like that. We'll go 1/2 inch again. Sorry. We'll go 1/2 inch. Go back to 1/2 inch. So we want to go here. And we want to go here. All right. So we know where. Make sure those are centered. Yep. So the drill bit that I'm using here Just has a countersink built right onto it. Super convenient. Thanks, Lucy. Or Lucifer, Luca, whatever. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. So we're going to put you at an angle so you can see me drill straight up and down into an angled piece of wood. Because, you know, that's usually what happens. We didn't miss. Alright, so I have my pilot holes drilled. Now I can set my countersink. And we will come back and we'll drill those out to 3/8. We just needed that beveled bottom, because those are not 3/8 countersink bits, but we needed the beveled bottom for the screw to sit in. Okay. And my 3/8 drill bit does not have a beveled bottom. It's got teeth on each edge, and then it comes up, and then there's a tooth in the center. So, all right, Lucy. So we will grab. Against the 3/8 bit. Let's see if this battery's charged. All right. I don't use the Milwaukee that often, so. Gonna have to clean that up. This would have been nicer. Kind of thought this through a little bit. And that before I put my countersink in. So, hindsight, it's 2020. When you're drilling bigger, you don't have any way to start it. So drill your pilot hole first, and then drill your 3/8. I knew that, and I should have remembered, but I didn't. So there is our size for our plug. I was going to just put one in first and then put the other one in, but we got those in there nice. That hasn't split. Perfect. All right, now we're gonna flip this whole mess over. Do it again. Some fashion that I can hold this up here. That'll work. All right. We came down about 1/2 inch to each piece. So 4-inch, 4.5, 5 7/8. Make sure we're centered. Yep. Yep. Make sure that's not twisted. Doesn't look like it. We will find out. So we're going to drill a tiny little pilot hole. And get this bit going. The way we should have done in the first place. Much clearer. Yeah, that's one of the many, many ways to hide your screws. I also very rarely use an impact driver on the furniture pieces because I want it to set to a specific depth. And an impact driver, if those threads are still biting, that impact driver will send that screw straight through whatever you're trying to screw together. As long as the threads can pull, they'll pull. So I just want things to be tight. They don't need to be ridiculous. So there we go. Now we'll have 2 dowels here. Get rid of these clamps. Like I say, we will have to do some light sanding, but that'll come after cutting off the dowels. Yeah, no, this one's for a friend of mine. We're gonna build Lucifer a 4-rung ladder, I think. Oh, sorry, guys. All right. So now we're going to put one in the center of each one of these. If we can, we'll do the other ones before we pull these clamps off. Because ideally, we would want to have 2 in each side, so that way they can't, move. But that's funny. So we got to do a little bit of measuring. Our top is 9.5, and we are to about center. Well, our boards are what, 1 inch thick? Yes, they are. So 4.5 or 4 would put us in the center. Will 4 put us in the center over here? It sure will. So we can use this combination square. So for anybody who doesn't know, these things, you can use them for a whole bunch of different stuff, right? They've got this little little thumb wheel that you can use to tighten and loosen. I got different measurements on both sides. Right, set it to wherever you want it to be. We want 4 inches. Okay, tighten it down. Now that's a 4-inch square. So, nuts. So now at the end of that, I know this is 4 inches in. I can put a mark. I can put a mark. And I know I'm going to be in the center of that board, right? It's a really simple way to lay out stuff. I can come in, this way so that I know that I'm square. Short lives matter. So, we've got that set up. All right. Now, we've already got a mark on our tape measure here for halfway because our legs and our top are the same thickness. So, or the same width, rather. So if we come in here, we'll just put a little tick mark right here. Come over here, we'll make sure. Yep. We'll come over here, we're just going to put a little tick mark. We'll just double check. Yep. All right. So there's our 2 center marks. Okay. Now I know that all I need to do is, this is already set up to the center of the board, I just need to follow this mark and put a mark right at the end of my square where center is. So you can eyeball this there, eyeball this one to there. There we go. There's the center of each one. So let's put a screw in those first. So we're going to use our little drill bit here. We're going to make a little hole for the dowel. Remember, we can't go terribly deep here because we already cut half of it away for the legs. So if we go too deep, the screw isn't going to be doing anything. We're going to end up just covering the screw, which is perfectly fine. That's all we want to do. Okay, so there's our first hole. We got our little pilot there. So we're going to run this down. Just want to round off the bottom of that hole for the head of our screw to seat. All right, now we're going to put 2 more. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Put 6 screws in, put 3 on each side. So we don't want these to pull down a whole lot. We just want them to seat. So we got a little bit there. We can put our dowel in. I'll give you guys a better look at how this is seated here in a second. All right. I'll give you guys a better look at how this is seated. Oh. All right. See how that just barely down. Okay. But we already lost half that depth, wherever that is. So we can only go down so far before it's no longer effective. Right? Just barely in there. And I'll show you a trick for filling those side gaps too. No, it's not wood glue and sand. I mean, we can, but wood glue doesn't absorb finish. So now for this particular thing, we can actually do wood glue and sanding, because the finish we're going to put on it doesn't have to absorb in. It sits on top. We're going to put a surface finish. All right. So we got those done. All right. Now we want to go halfway between each screw and the other edge. Right. So halfway between here, and halfway between here and here. That way we have some symmetry, and we want to do the same on the other side. You guys are super close. Can't see a damn thing, huh? How about that? I mean like that one, those ones. All right. So we know. So we don't. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be exactly halfway. They just have to be the same. So if we're going to go 2 inches from each edge, all right, we'll have to pull clamps. But if we go 2.5 inches, we don't need to pull the clamps off. Right? 2.5 inches from that edge, 2.5 inches from that edge. That would put our screws at about 2 inches apart. 2.5 inches there. Don't have to pull clamps. Don't have to pull clamps. So let's do that. We'll go 2.5 inches from each hole, or 2.5 inches from each edge, which would be 2 inches from the center screw. And that should give us plenty of meat for the screws to bite into, and give us enough stability, or enough holding power to assist the glue. Okay. So we want to get our marks. Get our marks at 2.5. They don't have to be exact, because we're going to use the other square that's already measured up for 4 inches, and we're going to finish them off. But we want them to be the proper distance away. So we'll mark that 2.5. Mark this one for 2.5. This is a little far for me to eyeball to drag it out. This side I could eyeball it, drag it out a little bit. So right here. And right there, where those two lines cross, that's the center. That's where we want to drill. All right. So we'll come over here. We'll mark these ones. So I'll leave a mark there. We're going to follow this mark up with the edge of the ruler where that crosses. I'll show that to you guys here in just a second. Okay, so what I did here was, I don't know if you guys will be able to see this. I'll try to get you a little closer. All right. So, I don't know if you can see it, but I have a mark. We'll go with this one. There's a mark right here, right at the edge of my ruler. Okay? I needed it to be up here, where the 4-inch mark was. So all I did was lined my ruler up, flat edge against you know, the square against the edge of my board, and just ran that up, put a mark. That takes me up to 2.5 inches, or at least close enough. And then just drug over my 4-inch line and put a mark. That's it. That's where we need to be. Now you want to be careful when you're doing your tick marks for layout. If you've already finished sanded, no, you're going to have to do it again. So you don't want to press real hard. You just want to put a light mark, because the harder you press, the more you're going to have to sand. So what we need to do is, we've got our little dowel bit here, so we're going to push that into the center of the cross. Go down a little deeper than that. I don't know if my bit's bent or the chuck on this drill is messed up. There we go, nice shallow holes. We'll go to the other side here. Do the same thing. Just giving us enough room to put a dowel cap on. Alright. That should be all we need that drill bit for. So now we go through and we sink these. Just a little bit. Not crazy. Now, they make a drill bit, I believe it's Amani makes one, that it has a countersink on it, right? But it's got this big washer, a stopper. So when that thing hits, that's it. The drill bit is no longer biting, or the countersink's no longer biting. It's just spinning on that bearing. So then you can get all of, if you're going to have exposed screws, they will all be at the same depth, you know, in terms of the countersink, as long as you don't overdrive them. In this case, we're hiding them, so it doesn't really matter. Sink that. That. Now the reason you pre-drill is because if you don't, you run the risk of splitting your wood. And when you're assembling and you split a piece of wood, it's kind of the worst thing ever. It's the worst time to split a piece is when you're at the end. All right. Those are all nice. We should be done with the drill. Should be done with measuring. Should be done with glue. Well, no, we need glue. We're doing our dowels. But we're done with the pencil. Now, we should be able to take these off, and absolutely nothing should happen. Sit straight. You did put a couple of dents in the top. That was my fault for not putting a piece of wood up there to stop that. So I will deal with that. That's not a big deal. But there we go. There's our bench, or our step stool so far. Now we're going to do all of our dress up work. Okay, so we will have to sand the top, obviously, because we're putting dowels in, and we got to fix these little dents that we got. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So what we're going to do is we're going to put some glue in here, put our dowels in, cut them off with the Japanese tool saw because it's really flexible. And we're just going to keep going through. We're going to do that to all of our dowels. But before we do that, right here, we're going to round off our top, okay? Because we don't want these dowels to be in the way. We want to get the round over down the top. That way the base doesn't hit them and mess that up. So let's do that real fast. And I think I'm going to pick up the speed on this one a little bit. I don't like that. Let's do something decorative, shall we? Yeah, I have, and it works really well. I just tend to. It works well if you didn't break fibers. This one I broke fibers. These other three I did not break fibers. But I tend to stray away from that unless it's a last resort kind of repair upstate. Because I don't like introducing moisture to my lumber. I put a lot of effort into keeping my lumber dry, and I don't want to bring moisture into it. But it is a very effective way to fix dents. Very effective. But I don't like this little bit of round over on the top. It makes it kind of look like construction lumber. So we're going to do something a little fancy. All right. We are going to do Yeah. All right, we're gonna let you guys decide. We're gonna let you guys decide. We'll pop up a poll here. All right. What decorative round over for the top? We're still going to do a round over for everything else but the top. All right, so we have a 45-degree bevel. We've got a I'll show you guys what these look like. We've got a cove bearing or a cove bit, and we have a Roman OG. Okay, so we'll start that pull. So here is the cove bit. It's the opposite of a round over. Okay, so it creates a dish in. All right, everybody see that? So that's the one. There's our 45. Right, that just literally creates a 45-degree angle. And this is the Roman OG. Now, personally, I like to use this and create that little stepped edge. I don't go this far, but I create just a little bit. It's kind of like the cove bit, but decorative. All right? You know, it gives it a little extra. See? It kind of makes it a little fancier, I guess. But we don't want it to look like construction lumber on the top. So, see which one of these three y'all think we should do. This is just for the top. Just for the top. Everything else will be a round over. We'll leave this poll up for here for a few minutes while I take a swig. These are our three options. Roman OG is over here. Cove bit, 45 degree. So if I can't. There we go. That should give you guys enough of an idea. All right. You guys decide in the poll what we're going to do for the top decoration here. Before I take that bit out, it's already set to how I want. I'm going to use that. I'm going to round everything else over except for the top. And I'm going to round over the bottom side of the top, obviously. But not the face. All right. Thanks, Lucifer. I appreciate that. Arthur, God bless America for sure. I don't know about Germany. I guess good for them. Good. I don't not like Germany, so. All right. Well, that pulls up. We're going to round everything else off. And then we'll come back to that. So this is what I was talking about when I said I like when the round over continues instead of having that sharp 45-degree joint. It's already together. So my round over bearing is going to follow here, hit that, and continue along. So there won't be sharp there. It'll be a nice rounded over bite. So that's what we're going to do here. And then we're going to do the other side and both ends. Okay? And we're going to hit both feet corners just because hard angles tend to pick off and cause issues. So This bit needs to be slightly deeper. Seems to have walked up. There we go. Okay, the bottoms of the feet, we're going to sand the edges down here. Not going to route them. These, I'm going to route with probably the 45, just to put a nice little detail on the edge. But the insides will just get hit with sandpaper. There. So, we got all of our, we'll fill the gaps. We got to do a sand on it, obviously. But this is all of our roundovers. So, ignore that. Don't look at that. All right. What's the pull say for doing the top? Yeah, you can put as much work into woodworking as you want to. You don't have to do any of the rounding. You don't. I mean, you'll have sharp edges. You can hit it with sandpaper and break it. You know, just give it a little bit of a round. You don't have to do, you know, this deal here where we mortared this into this. You can make them real simple. You don't have to fill the screw holes, but all right, guys, we're going to close the poll here in about 15 seconds. I want to take a drink. If you haven't voted, go vote. It looks like we're doing the Roman OG so far. All right, closing the poll. Roman OG it is. All right. We'll get that set in here. Let's get rid of all these clamps. Roman OG. Let's get that. Roman OG. What did I do? There it is. Appreciate all you guys voting. So, I'm going to take this bit out. We are done with the roundover. Pull that one, drop this one. Tighten that. Okay, now we want to make sure that we pick a good depth. So we're going to go back to our scrap piece. You know what? I don't think that's half bad. This is that little step that I was telling you about. That flat edge on the side of the bit, on the bottom or top, the router side. You can either have it do that or not. A lot of people don't like it. I think it adds a nice detail. I rather like it. It's a little less forgiving, so if you're doing it on something thin like this and you're trying to balance that router, if you angle it or you get to the edge of the wood and it drops in, it will be extremely noticeable on that little bit there. But if you take it down to the end of the roundover, you know, it gets a little less noticeable. So, or a little more forgiving, I guess we should say. All right, so. Lopsided and splintered. That's funny. All right. Clean this up. So, this is a more aggressive bite. So I'm going to make sure that I can brace this against me, if need be. So we're going to go like that. Bites a little better. I got you, Lucifer. I got you. One thing of note, something that's taking off this much material, it's taking off that much material, you usually want to do it in several steps, you know, do lighter passes and work your way in. We're going to do it all in one pass. So what happens is, 153, we hit our viewer limit. Get more subscribers to get more viewers the next time you go live. Wow. That's really cool. Thanks everybody for coming in. I didn't know there was a limit to viewers. But when you take this off and you get to the end grain, you have to be extremely careful. 141 views. Wow. Because it will increase the chance of blowing out and tearing that off, and we don't want that to happen. A little bit will be fine as long as the router bit is going to take it off anyway. Right? So, but what we don't want is we don't want it to chip out more than the router bit is going to bite. Right? Then it becomes a lot of repair. We'd have to cut it out, put in a patch, try to get the grain to match up with the patch, and then take care of that. That is awesome. Everybody that's in here, I thank you very much. It's absolutely the most viewers that I've ever had. And I'm a little dumbfounded that that many of you people want to watch me goof off in my shop here. But thank you so very much. I really appreciate it. Um, if you guys all like, I'd love for you to hit the like button. Subscribe if you want to see, some of my projects. Now that we're caught up on Christmas orders, I'm going to be starting to put out more content. I'll have a little bit more time to do so. So, greatly appreciated, everyone. Thank you. All right, we're going to get this routed over so that everybody that's here can actually see what they chose. So, let's get this going. You guys get a look at this. All right. Hope that gives you guys enough of a view of what we're doing here. All right. So there's a happy medium between speed and tear out and burning. This is cherry, so it burns rather easily. So you bigger the bit, the slower you want it to go. You don't want to hang out in one area; it'll burn really fast. In fact, I do have some burns that I can show you guys what it looks like. On cherry, it's extremely noticeable. On maple also. Black walnut, not so much. It's a lot more forgiving. All right, let's get this finished up. Last little edge here. excuse the wood chips, but so that dark wood there, that's burn. Okay. Now it's real easy to get rid of because that's real light burn. That's just going over it with a little bit of sandpaper or lowering the bit just a little bit. If you lowered the bit just a notch, so you're just trimming that edge, it would go away. And you could go a lot faster because the bulk of the material is already gone. If you look here, you can see there's some like fuzzy bits up here at the top edge of that upper cut. That's going to get taken off with sandpaper. We're not overly concerned about that. So there's the other side, a little more burning on the end grain. And I had a tiny little chip pop out right there. That's unfortunate. But we can take care of that. So there we go. I promise those screws are not crooked. I don't know why they look crooked on there. That's really weird. Anyway, so there's the top of our step stool. Right? All the routing's done except for, I'm going to route those over real quick. And I'm only going to do the outsides. I'm going to do the 45 on them. The character marks, yeah. But I don't want to take a whole lot off with the 45. I just want to knock that edge a little bit. So give me just 1 second to get my 45 bit and my wrench. All right, here we are. So need to pop this off. Again, this is all stuff that's really easy to do. You don't need a whole lot of tools. You don't even need a handheld router. I mean, they're pretty cheap to come by. But you don't need one. You can buy a bench, like my bench that's over there behind those Christmas trees that never got delivered because the customer never called me back. That bench there came with a router, and it was like, I think I got it on sale for $150 or something crazy. It was really cheap. That was my very first router that I ever bought. One speed, it has. So, am I on? I didn't realize I was on Wi-Fi. I apologize. All right, so grab our little test block here. We just want to see how much we're going to take off. Let's go with, that's just a little bit wider than this piece. So we're going to go with about there. See how that looks. Let's get this started. Well, I had that position wrong, blowing all that right in my face. Oh. Okay. So there's the 45, and I think that's what we're going to go with. We're going to use that on the outsides of these little V notches here. Have a good day, Upstate. We'll see you later. Thanks for coming in, man. I really appreciate it. So, all right, we're going to hit these. We're going to hit these real quick. And like I said, we're just going to do the outside. We have that little bit of tear out we need to get rid of. And this is the most efficient way to do it. We're just going to route it right off. Okay? Hopefully we don't create more. So that would be unfortunate. We're going to slow our bit down a little bit. This one is adjustable, so I can do that. All right. got a little burn. We're going to lower the bit a little bit to take care of that. Just a little bit to clear the burn marks up. These burn marks go a little deeper than I thought. Well, got a little bit on there. We'll deal with that. That's fine. All right. That's it. That's all we're going to do. We'll keep playing with it. We're just going to make things worse in some areas. So we're going to do a little bit of sanding there on that edge. But that just gives it a little bit of a kind of a shadow line. You're hiding in the barn. Wondering if you could build your own step stool. Nice, Justin. Nice. So, like I said, a little bit of burn left on there. That's because I hung out too long. So I created a little bit of a burn. But I'll be able to sand that off. That won't be a big deal. And that's going to be how that looks. All right. So, why don't we go ahead and get all of the screws plugged, and we'll probably end up calling it a day right there, I think. I'm not going to make you guys sit and watch me sand because, well, that is boring. I don't like to sand, and I know you guys don't want to see me sand. So, I will take care of everything off screen. And then we'll come back. I'll either post pictures or I'll make sure I show everybody. I'll show everybody later. Just trying to find my. There it is. My little pull saw. Need my little pull saw. And need a piece of plastic. So that I don't mar up the surface too bad. There we go. Oh, that'll fit right over there. That'll be great. All right, the end of this is a little goobered up, so we're going to cut that off. That's a better fit. You'd like to know how I sand it down? I sand it down with music and a vacuum cleaner, and that way I can suck the sawdust out of the out of the vacuum or out of the sander. And I start with something like 60 or 80 grit. That's not fitting in there as tight as I would like. We're going to cut this one a little tall. Oops, chewed up my wood. Now I'm going to have to sand that area again. This is what happens when you're not paying attention to where your saw blades to. It's alright. It's alright. There. Alright, Justin, appreciate it. So, get rid of any burr on there. I'm just going to put this in there and spin it around. Let's put our little piece on there. So we're going to hold this down. So these were the holes that I had drilled. Remember I said I wonder if that drill bit was bent or if the chuck on that drill was messed up. So they wobbled a little bit. They're just a hair bigger. I mean, it'll be fine. The glue will take care of that joint, but they're not as tight as I would like. So I'm cutting them a little proud so I can work them down later. I don't know how much of this you guys are seeing. Let's see if I can get you guys a better angle here. Maybe not blocking everything with the chat box. There we go. How's that? You guys should be able to see better there. Yeah? Yeah. Alright, so all I'm doing is I'm putting a little glue in these little pockets where we put the screws. I'm sticking my dowel in here and I'm giving it a twist so it spreads that glue around as it pushes up and it works that dowel in nice and deep. And then I'm just taking this is just a tiny little Japanese pool saw. Got it from Harbor Freight. Alright, it's like $3. Okay, nothing fancy. You can buy them on Amazon. They got giant ones. They got tiny ones. Ones with 2 sets of teeth. I can't cut like that. I'm cutting them very proud because these are loose fitting and I don't want to pull it back out when I cut it off. So I'm leaving a lot on there. I'll come back with chisels and I'll nip it off once this is dried and these are in here. That'll give me a few minutes to go find my chisels tonight. So, I'll leave it up to you guys. I'm not going to start a poll or anything. I'll leave it up to you guys. Just let me know in chat if you would rather me start a new project next week, next Saturday on the live, or if you would rather see the finish put on this. Guys, just go ahead and let me know. The finish we're going to use on this is probably going to be something like shellac and hard wax. Not like Rubio or anything, like actual paste wax that you have to rub in and then polish off. I love it. I use it on like stuff on bench tops, like my table saw, my planer, my jointer. It creates a nice protective surface. But if you guys want to see the finishing process, then I won't finish them. I won't finish this during the week. I will do all the sanding and stuff, so that all I have to do on camera is do the finish work, and we'll go from there. Applying the finishes. That's up to you guys. You let me know. Nice. Thank you, Lucifer. Thank you. I appreciate that. I do take a great amount of pride in my work. I'm glad that it shows. Now, I know one thing that I never want to do here on this channel is I never want to hide my mistakes. Like, I don't want to hide them from the viewers, from you guys. Because if you're a woodworker that never makes mistakes, you're not a woodworker. Or you are far better than anybody I ever knew. Part of woodworking is, okay, I messed this up. How do I fix it? And I think that it's a much better service to everyone to show that. Like my burn marks. You guys see those? I know what caused those burn marks. I knew what not to do, but I did it anyway because I wasn't paying attention. And now, you guys all know it. And I told you how to fix it. You sand it. That's it. That's all you have to do. Just a little bit of sand, or drop the bit a little bit. As long as you don't keep repeating the same mistake, you'll be fine. So, let's get these in here. Oh my. Turn that so we get some glue everywhere. Cut this one off. Alright, so I think what I'm gonna do is, obviously I can't do any sanding and stuff until this glue is dried. Alright, so that's gonna be a few hours. I can't trim off these dowels until that's dry. So I will do the sanding afterwards, after the stream. I'll get everything ready for the finish. Okay. There's our little plugs. Okay, they are very proud. We're gonna trim those off. Here's this little spot where I wasn't paying attention to my saw blade, where I rubbed into the wood. Even brought over something to not do that, but I left them prouder than I was originally going to. So, we'll take care of that. We'll do all that off camera so that you guys don't have to suffer through the sanding. And the noise that's going to be associated with it. So, then next week, right, Alan? Math ain't mathin'. Here before Dan's famous. Thanks, Turner. I appreciate it, buddy. I don't know. Maybe YouTube decided that they liked me today, which means that I'm gonna have to work twice as hard in your channel tonight, I guess. Actually, all of us are. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take care of everything. I'm gonna do all the sanding. I'll repair stuff. I'll fix things like these little gaps here. I will make a short about it, or I'll record. I'll make a short to show you how to fix it. I'll show you the before and the after, what I do to fix it. So that way everybody knows this is the process that I would use. All right, that way it's not hidden from anybody. And then next week, I will show you guys exactly what goes into my finishing process. And it is, I'll be honest, it's a lot more detailed than some other woodworking channels with the like the Rubio monocoat that or the UV cure finishes, which are way faster and really nice. But we're not going to do that on this. We're going to do hand rubbed finish. So that'll be next Saturday, about the same time. We'll start at about between 1 and 2. And yeah, I think that is an awesome place to let off tonight. And then while we are waiting for the first coat of finish to cure on that, we'll start doing some work on a knife display case for Matthew. So yeah, I didn't know there was a viewer limit. That's the news to me. It said get more subscribers, so maybe that's the thing. Everyone, I want to thank you all for coming in and checking me out. We do have a Facebook page. You guys can't read that; it's backwards. Top of my profile page thing on YouTube. Take you to my YouTube. I'm really bad at my Facebook. I'm really bad at updating it with projects, but shoot me an email. It's on there. If you guys want anything or have any ideas for anything that I could build on stream, we'll see what we can do. Here in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be building a display case, sort of like this, sort of like a tackle box, right? We're going to make one out of wood. We're going to put a liner in it. We're going to put a glass top on it. We're going to put some lights in it. That's going to be a stream project that we do. So if you have any ideas for what you think would make it a better way to display some of these awesome baits that people make, make sure you go to my community page and let me know. Or send me an email. Whatever makes you happy. All right. Wayne, thanks for popping in, buddy. I appreciate it. Lucifer, I don't know. I know here shortly after Christmas I'll start putting out more content, and the shorts will probably pick up the viewers. So everyone, thanks for coming in. Here's where we're at. We got a black walnut runner, stretcher, cherry top sides. You guys picked the Roman OG. One of my favorite bits. We rounded off everything else. We did a little 45 in there. Plugged all the screw holes with purple poplar. So I think it'll look real nice. This is going to darken up a lot. It's going to darken up a lot. So everyone, we'll check you out later. Thanks for coming in. Have a good night.